And welcome back to Monday Night Politics. Tonight we have with us candidate for District Judge, 282nd Judicial District here in North Texas. We have with us the incumbent, Judge Amber Givens. Other candidates in the race, Andy Chatham and Teresa Hawthorne, are not present with us tonight, so we'll go straight for our opening statements to Judge Givens.
All right, well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Amber Givens, and I currently serve you as the presiding judge of the 282nd Judicial District Court here in Dallas County, Texas. In 2014, when I stood before you and asked for your support, I told you that justice for all needed to be restored to the 282nd Judicial District Court. I also told you that the court needed to be more engaged with the public, and I made those promises, and I kept those promises. I'm the only candidate in this race that has created a program to reduce recidivism. I am the only candidate in this race that has created an educational awareness program. I am the only candidate in this in this race that has created a program to prevent the youth from being involved in the criminal justice system. I'm the only candidate in this race that has never been reversed by a Texas higher court, an appellate court. So I have done the work by creating the programs and bridging the gap between the courthouse and the community. I believe in being proactive and not being reactive. And I also believe in deeds and not words. I have proven to you over the last 7 years that I meant business when I asked for your support in 2014. And I'd ask for your support again. Thank you.
What are the most pressing? You talk about recidivism. We know that's always a problem. We talk about the school to prison pipeline and those things. So how are you addressing those currently, and what are things that you plan to do going forward?
Okay, so regarding recidivism, so when I took office in 2015, I looked and I was trying to figure out who needed my help. And what I found was that people on felony probation needed my assistance. And it wasn't because they wanted to fail on felony probation, it was because they needed additional resources. Meeting with a probation officer once a month, if you don't have family support, if you have a drug addiction issue and you don't have adequate employment, is just not enough. So I created a 10-month supplemental felony probation program. No judge handed it down to me. No, the county hasn't paid for it. It comes out of my pocket. It's a program I've created where I partner people that are on felony probation that need additional assistance with people from the community to bridge that gap. Too often we see a separation between the community and the courthouse. With my program, we have doctors, lawyers, whomever that's willing to serve as a mentor. And we walk the probationers through a 10-month program where we handle, everyday matters like getting your driver's license reinstated, getting a copy of your social security card, teaching them how to write resumes and cover letters. And I'm able to do this because I partner with community organizations that give of their time and give their services. So, for example, the writing the resumes, oftentimes that costs $500 an hour to have someone do that with you. They donate those services. At the end of the 10-month program, they receive early release or judicial clemency, which is akin to like a pardon from the governor. And so about reducing recidivism, I believe making a program that's substantive, where you have contact with people on more than just a once-a-month basis, is key. Additionally, pipeline to prison, we all know that they're using third grade reading scores to decide how many beds we need in prisons. And so I, along with 3 other colleagues, created a program, Pipeline of Possibilities, to disrupt that pipeline. And so we go into the DISD schools that have the highest rates of incarceration, and we teach the young children about the criminal justice system. So those are 2 actual ways that I have been fighting recidivism, and disrupting the pipeline between our schools and the prisons. And you asked me future plans. Okay, so Okay. And so you asked me about future plans. So I am going to rework my empowerment program. And when I say rework, so there's nothing, we've graduated over 200 people from the program successfully. And when I say that, it's gonna be the pay it forward edition. So we're gonna have people that have graduated previously come back and pour into those that are in the program themselves. So that's one addition that I'm going to make to my court. I'm also in the works with a nonprofit to provide free psych services. Now, we see a number of people when I get the evals from probation that things have happened to them in their lifetime and they haven't talked to anyone about them. And it creates a space where they find themselves continuously in the court system because they're not addressing the issues. So I'm working with a nonprofit to provide free psychological services to people that are on my probation. Additionally, I'm going to continue to work with State Representative Carl Sherman. I am on one of his committees, and what we do is propose legislation, and that's something that I'm going to continue to do.
Okay. You noted earlier that you've never been reversed, right?
Right.
And we talked in other in other judicial races about this seeming, and I'll call it antipathy, but it's just real right-wing concern over the number of black female judges that have been elected in the state of Texas. What do you think about that? And,
Okay.
and wrap your closing statement into that.
Into that?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Well, so I'm from Missouri, where judges are appointed by the governor. There is an organization that conducts a report every year called the Gavel Gap. What the Gavel Gap does is look at the diversity in the community versus the diversity on the bench. And Texas fails every year. Okay? And most states in the country fail because the community doesn't look like the bench. So I'll say that's a problem. And so if someone thinks that it's a problem that the community is starting to look like, or excuse me, the bench is starting to look like the community, I think it's probably a personal one. Because every year, I would say 50% based on that report that's conducted by a nonprofit are failing because there's not a lot of diversity on the bench. Now, with my closing, I would tell you that when I took office and when I actually was campaigning in 2014, I told you that I would not sit in this seat and just be comfortable. I told you that this wouldn't be about me sitting on the 282nd Judicial District's bench, that this would be about me being in a seat where I would do the work. And so I'll tell you that I submit to you that anyone that subscribes to the status quo will always be threatened by me. I submit to you that I have been sitting in this seat and I've had the audacity to not be silent. I've had the audacity to speak up when it was necessary, and not for public credit. I did it behind closed doors. It ended up being in the news, like in 2018 when I realized that police departments were cherry picking courts to get results that they wanted. Even though I got texts that said, you shouldn't go, you'll get opponents, I went anyway. Why? Because every individual, I don't care what crime you're accused of, you are entitled to a fair judiciary that has not been picked by a police department because they have a desired result. Also in 2020, after George Floyd's murder, we saw white attorneys in Dallas take to Facebook, and they called black people during the protest subhuman and animals. I've ruffled feathers, but I'm glad that I did. I created the first anti-discrimination policy in the country that addresses the fact that no matter what your socioeconomic status is, your gender, your race, your religion, and so on, you are entitled to counsel, because what the Constitution says is that if you can't afford to pay for your attorney, you don't get to pick your attorney. But we all know, as we undeniably have seen across the country, that enough is enough for status quo. I stand up against the status quo. I am here to disrupt the norm and make sure that justice and equality is really a reality for all people in Dallas. I'm going to ask for your support. I am in the middle on the ballot, so put on your blinders, focus on what's important, and vote for Amber Givens for the 282nd Judicial District Court. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Judge,
you.
The incumbent for the 282nd District Court, Judge Amber Givens. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the last of our judicial races will be District 204.